They're cold for a reason. Where do you start when you don't even know your victim's name?
Right now at 6 o'clock, 31 years later, she has a name. A woman's body found in a shallow grave, identified tonight as a mother of 3. Only on 8 News Now, the cold case investigator working to find out who killed that mother tells us her children now know they were never abandoned. Thanks for joining us at 6. I'm Denise Valdez.
I'm Brian Loftus. Metro identifying this woman with the help of DNA. 8 News Now investigator David Charnes breaking the story first on 8newsnow.com. And David, who was she?
Well, Brian, she's Linda Sue Anderson, also known as Linda Sue Andrews, and she lived right here. She disappeared in the early 90s. Now, all those years later, her family finally knows where she went. Now they need your help figuring out who killed her.
They feel a tremendous amount of guilt because they relayed that they felt that their mom had abandoned them.
Metro cold case investigator Terry Miller helps put a face to a name she just learned a few weeks ago. Linda Sue Anderson, also known as Linda Sue Andrews, found in a shallow grave in a once desolate area of the Southwest Valley. Photos the 8 News Now investigators obtained show that grave covered with a quilt and rocks.
And when they moved the pile of rocks, they discovered that it's a shallow grave. And there's human remains in the grave, and it appears to be that of a woman.
The landscape near Tropicana in Durango looking very different today than in 1993, when scientists discovered Anderson's remains. Miller says Anderson's 3 children never knew their mother was the victim of a homicide.
She was a good mom. When she was doing well, they had wonderful memories with her. But when she was doing badly, it was more like the children were taking care of their mother.
30 years later, Texas-based Othram Labs matched Anderson's DNA with a family member's. Anderson lived in Las Vegas and Henderson and was last seen alive in 1991, but no one ever reported her missing.
Why do you think she was never reported missing?
When they reached out to their stepdad to say, "Where's Mom?" he stated that he came home one day and she had left. And it was a plausible story for them based on their history with their mom.
Now, Miller wants to find who killed Anderson and buried her, with one big question finally answered all these years later.
31 years later, we have her identified. We now know what happened to her as far as where she went. She did not abandon her children.
An important answer right there. You may remember last month we first told you about a similar homicide victim identified all these decades later. Miller says Sheriff Kevin McMahill is to thank for this uptick in these identifications we've been reporting to you as he's put more resources into this investigative unit. I'm David Charnes, 8 News Now.
In that case last month, Metro identified 19-year-old Gwen Story as the woman killed and left in an empty lot on the Strip near Sahara in 1979. That area is now the festival grounds. Story, who is from the Cincinnati, Ohio area, came to Las Vegas with 2 other men. The 2 men later returned to the Midwest without her.
So if you have any information about either cold case, Metro would like to hear from you. We have a link to contact them right now on 8newsnow.com, also inside of our app. And Crime Stoppers also takes anonymous tips by phone and online. They do offer a reward for information leading to a conviction.